Hello all, this is Shruti Pandey. After having spent a decade worth of experience in testing some way or the other, I've been asked by our great community to give the community three top tips for do's and three don'ts that we as testers should know or follow. I will not bore you with what languages, programming, CI/CD, etc., etc., etc. you should go about. And I had so many thoughts coming to my head while I was thinking about this. So I prepared note. Yes, I'm very old school. I take book and pen and I just jotted down 336 points for do's plus don'ts, and I hope this helps. So, starting off with the do's. The first one, being a QA, spend time as early as possible in the SDLC cycle. To elaborate this further, if you're having your scrums or stand up or agile methodology or any stuff of the sort, or you're being given stories by the BA or the developers, start the cycle early, involve the QA, or you as the QA get involved in the cycle early, right from the beginning of what's getting created, what's going to be planned in the sprint or release or Jira, etc., etc. So start early. Second point, be assertive. This is very important because for us as testers and getting the builds at the last minute and stuff like that, we need to be really very assertive as to what's happening or not. To give an example, a couple of years back, there was one particular project where I was working on, and we got two builds, but these two builds had totally different architecture, and it doesn't make sense if you're pushing a release in the coming Friday or over the weekend, which is going to have two different architecture altogether. So being assertive in situations like this really helps. So that's your cue. Be assertive. Third one, divide and conquer. So of all my experience as automation tester, there were times where I was the only female in the team. There was time where I was the only person in the team, like an individual contributor. There came a time where I got experienced and I had my team, and I chose one thing to do, which is called as divide and conquer. In the world, this tactic really works. So despite coming from a team background or an IC background, and if people get very closed and very protective about their code and things, you shouldn't get too much to that. And when you have a team, make the most use of it. So divide your stuff, divide your work among the other team members that you have, so that you divide and conquer and achieve your things as fast as possible. So these were my top three tools that you should be doing, really. Coming on to don'ts. So the first don't is set boundaries. And what do I mean by this? The equation or the dynamics between a developer and tester. So till date, I am in touch with most of the developers whose code I've tested. You should be friends with your developers. That's not a problem. I understand. I mean, there's so much dynamics at work. You can't be this and that and whatever. Don't get into all that nasty business. But what I really mean is, again, to give you an example, there have been times when my developers would sing songs from the Dabang movie for the Pandey effect to please me, or get me birthday cakes written "Happy Birthday Chulbuli Pandey." So great friends of mine, and still they are. But when it comes to work and business, you should maintain that bifurcation. Set the boundary. So when you're testing, you don't have to think of, oh, okay, it's my friend's code or this code or that code. No, nothing of the sort. Set boundaries and be very professional when it comes to testing and what you're going to test. The next one would be, okay, don't take too much. What does that mean? I'm thinking for myself, what have I written here? Okay, I remember this one. So there used to be times when a lot of things are given at your plate at the last minute, because no matter how much deadlines we would have tried to tuck with, but there would be slippages, and then you get very less and less and less and least time for testing. So don't take too much. Again, I think being the assertive part also helps here. Understand how much you can handle in your plate, and don't unnecessarily take too much that you can't do or you can't overdo with yourself or your team. So I think being assertive and set boundaries also comes into picture here, reusing the pointers that I mentioned. But I would really want us to not take too much if there is already so much to do on a QA's plate. I as a matter of fact, know when we used to get built, right from deploying it on different components to testing it to publishing messages on Kafka or Stream or this or that. There's so much to do, right? So if there is unnecessary builds and stuff, and or maybe whatever work, try to prioritize what you're going to take up and what you're going to do next without trying to bombard yourself or your team too much. I know these may sound like too unrealistic or utopian details, but they can be achieved, I'm sure. And I've experienced all of this, so I thought might as well I should share this experience so that it helps somebody. Coming back to the third point of the don'ts, do not distinguish between testers. What I mean by this is, I understand there are full stack engineers and UI and graphic and backend, and I don't know, there are so many types of them, right? And I understand similarly we categorize or distinguish between testers like manual testing, automation testing, API testing, database testing, etc., etc., etc. I think as a tester, you should know all these traits. And I don't want to boast here, but I have also done things which keep coming my way. It's wrong when we categorize like, okay, only females are supposed to do manual testing because we have bigger manual testings and smaller automation testing. Don't discriminate, don't distinguish that, okay, a manual tester is any less than an automation, or an automation person may only know Selenium or Cucumber or Java or Python and may not know API. So do not distinguish, at least as testers and a community, do not distinguish amongst yourself. So these were my three do's and don'ts. Start early in the cycle. The first do, be assertive in the work that you're doing, because it will be our head which will be taken off if something slips, right? Third one, divide and conquer. Divide the work amongst the team if you have one, and you can make the most of your and their time. It doesn't mean that you are not supposed to work, you also work, but divide and conquer. Reiterating the don'ts, set boundaries, professional boundaries when you're testing, and understand like why you're testing this and what's your end goal. Second, don't take too much on your plate because we tend to take so much. Third, don't distinguish between the testers. And I just want to share a pro tip maybe with you guys. I have spoiled my health a lot being a workaholic, and it's our choice and chance to take. But I would really like to say, if I would not suggest that delay your work or anything, but prioritize stuff. I know again it's very difficult. I'm not talking about time management here, but be very, very mindful of your health and don't screw it up with respect to your work. Take care of your health too. So that's about me.
Hello everyone, this is Riddhi here. I have 9 years experience in software development and testing. So I would like to say thanks to WIT for providing me this opportunity. So my topic is 3 do's and 3 don'ts in software testing, and I would like to share a few points based on my experience. So first of all, I would say, which is very important point, and I have experienced many times. Whenever you are logging or closing any defects, do not forget to add screenshots, recording, or any logs or console errors if any is coming while checking the scenarios. This will help not only developer and even QA also to check the scenarios properly when the bug is fixed. And not only while logging the issue, but while closing the issue also, you should be providing these proofs. So later on, if any issue arise in production, as a QA, you will be secure that you have already verified the defect properly and it was working fine. Later on, it got broken at some point. The next point I would say, whatever you are learning, make a note of it. In whatever areas or whatever component you are working on it, just make note of all the points and try to revise at some intervals, so later on whenever you come across suddenly, you can immediately recall those points and you can use those notes. and try to learn this not only your component or your product, but try to learn other of your colleagues component. Let's say suppose you are working on one component, but your organization has multiple projects, so at least try to communicate with your friends, colleagues, what's going on in other component or product, so that you will get an overview of about the product. And the third point I would recommend is always be curious to learn about, as I said, be curious to learn about new things. Not only any anything related to your product, but try to explore different technology, different tools, and go in detail. Just take different courses and make yourself skilled in any extra skills, which will help you a lot in upgrading skills, and at further point you can grab more good opportunities as well. So these are a few points which I recommend highly. And let me tell you three don'ts in software testing. So first one is I'll say avoid assumptions. If you have been assigned some ticket or some work, just and you are not aware 100%, so don't just go on based on your assumptions that yeah, this should be like this should be like this only, so no need to ask, or you hesitate to ask someone. Don't ever do that. Instead of that, whenever needed and really needed, after your research also you are not clear, please go ahead, get some documentation from your lead manager or teammates. And if suppose any ticket you have been assigned at last moment, and if you are avoiding for the help, so situation can come that it can cause the big issue when it goes to production, if it is not fixed properly and you have closed at any point. So I would say avoid spoon feeding, but at the same time, I would say if you are after doing lots of research, also you are not getting a proper idea of the component or module which you have been assigned, then please go ahead. Don't waste the time. Just go ahead for the help and work on it. The next point I would say is never ignore any intermittent issue or inconsistent issue. Even though after 10 try or 20 tries you are getting just one defect, and on, or it comes occasionally, then also I would say never ignore it. Just log it. Let it be in the backlog. So later on product can take the decision whether to fix it or not. But never avoid it. The next point I would say is do not behave or do not show your attitude to your team members, either dev or QA or any of your team member. Remember that whenever you will need your anyone's help, the time comes that these people will help you. But at the time, if your attitude is you have shown your attitude too much, it will gonna cost a big cost to you. So try to follow these points, and I'm sure you will get 100% success in wherever you are working. Last but not least, I would say join any QA communities like TTC, and many other communities are also there. Be active member of the community. Participate in any event. If virtual meetup or actual meetup, you just try to participate in the meetups. So it will help you to increase your network, social network, as well as wherever you are lacking your skill, it will clear your path and you can just move ahead in your interested area. That's all for the day. Thank you so much. I would especially thanks to Arpita and Sahitya for motivating me for giving this appearing this for WIT episode. Thank you so much.